The morning light on Zerathia was soft and green, but it carried no warmth for Captain Elias Kor. He sat on the cold floor of his chamber, the glowing chains still wrapped around his wrists. The chains pulsed faintly, a constant reminder that he was no longer free. Yet Elias's mind was sharp, observing every detail, the position of the guards, the faint hum of the energy barriers, the pattern of the palace lights. Humans survived by noticing small details, he reminded himself, and he was not about to fail now. The room door slid open silently, revealing Princess Lyra. She moved like a shadow, graceful and careful, yet there was an urgency in her glowing eyes. "Good morning," she whispered, kneeling beside him. "Morning," Elias said, forcing a small smile. "Sleep well?" Lyra shook her head. "I could not. I kept thinking, what if something happened to you last night? What if the Queen punished you?" Elias's lips tightened. Punishment was already evident in the chains, but humans were resilient. "I am fine. My mind is clear. And if they punish me further, I will adapt. Humans always do." Her gaze softened. "You saved my life, with your blood. No one in Zerathia would dare such a thing. And yet, here you are, chained." "I am chained because humans are unpredictable," he said bluntly. "Your queen fears what she cannot control, but don't worry, I can survive it and I can protect you, even in these chains." Lyra's hands hovered above the glowing restraints, as if she could undo them with a thought. She could not, but she wanted to try. "I wish there was a way to free you," she said softly. "I cannot bear seeing you like this." Elias leaned back, observing her. Humans understood limits, but also possibilities. He would need to earn her trust, learn the palace secrets, and survive the Queen's watchful eyes. "We will find a way," he said. "Humans always do. But for now, we wait, we learn, and we plan." The palace was vast and beautiful, but it was also full of dangers. Every corridor was monitored, every window overlooked by guards. Even the garden outside his chamber was a maze of crystal paths and energy barriers. Humans survived by turning challenges into advantages, and Elias had already begun noting weaknesses in the guards' routines. Lyra stayed with him until the first sunbeam hit the room. She brought a small tray of food, alien fruits that glowed faintly and a liquid that smelled strange but tasted sweet. "Eat," she said. "You need your strength. You helped me, so you deserve care too." Elias ate slowly, savoring the taste but also thinking. "I have learned something," he said between bites. "Your people respect strength, but you respect bravery. That is different, and it might be useful." Lyra smiled faintly. "Bravery, and humans have it in strange ways. You did something no Zerathian would dare. You risked yourself to save me." Elias nodded. "That is what humans do. We survive, and we protect, sometimes foolishly, sometimes cleverly. But always we act." She studied him for a long moment, her glowing eyes thoughtful. "Perhaps that is why I feel drawn to you. Not just gratitude, but something more. I do not understand it fully." Elias gave a small, gentle smile. "Humans often feel strongly. We act on trust, on connection, on belief, and sometimes on hope." Her cheeks glowed slightly, a rare human-like expression of warmth. Elias noticed it, filing it away for later. Humans read emotions, and Lyra's feelings were clear if subtle, but their quiet moment was interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. The Queen's voice filled the room, crisp and cold. "Princess Lyra, you may step aside." Lyra hesitated. "Elias." "Go," he whispered. "I will be fine." Reluctantly, she left, and the door slid shut with a hiss. Moments later, Queen Sorin entered, her presence commanding, almost suffocating. Elias felt the weight of her gaze. She was not only powerful but cautious, calculating every reaction, measuring every word. "You are alive," the Queen said, her tone neutral. And your actions yesterday were extraordinary. You have broken laws and traditions, and yet you have saved my daughter. That is dangerous. I did what I had to do, Elias replied calmly. If I did not act, she would be dead. Survival requires action. Humans understand that. Queen Soren's eyes narrowed. Humans, you are unpredictable, reckless, and, yet, strangely useful. You are bound to us now, not as a prisoner but as one whose life is observed. You will remain in chains until we decide your fate, and you will obey the rules of this palace. Elias tilted his head. I obey only to survive. Humans do not break under fear. They adapt, they endure, and they plan. The queen's lips curved slightly. We shall see if that is true. She turned and left, the door closing with a heavy hiss that echoed through the chamber. Left alone again, Elias flexed his wrists, testing the chains. They were designed to restrain but not entirely immobilize. There was a rhythm, a pattern to the energy pulses. Humans survived by observing and exploiting patterns. He smiled faintly. There was hope. Days passed. Elias's routine was strict but predictable. Guards brought him meals, checked his chains, and observed him constantly. Yet within the monotony, he discovered small opportunities. A guard paused slightly when speaking to another. A light flickered when an energy barrier reset. Humans survived by noticing what others ignored. Lyra visited daily, sometimes in secret. She brought small comforts, books from Earth, strange alien trinkets, and soft words of encouragement. You are not just a human, she said one day, her voice low. You are remarkable. Elias took her hand briefly. Humans survive, he said softly. And sometimes we inspire others to survive too. Their bond grew quietly, a mixture of trust, respect, and curiosity. Lyra began to understand humans' strengths, ingenuity, unpredictability, courage, and loyalty. Elias began to understand her world, the rigid rules, the fear of the unknown, and the power structures that dominated Zarathia. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the palace, a distant alarm echoed through the halls. Guards rushed past Elias's chamber, their movements tense, hurried. He strained to listen, catching fragments of speech. Siege, border factions, princess, danger. Elias's mind raced. Humans acted quickly under pressure. Even chained, even observed, he could still make a difference. He listened to the guards, noting their patrol routes, their weapons, their weaknesses. Lyra arrived moments later, her glow dimmed by worry. Elias, there are rumors. Some factions want to take me. The palace may be attacked. What can we do? He studied her face, his mind calculating. Humans survived in impossible situations by thinking ahead. We prepare, he said simply. We use what we have. We turn fear into advantage. Chains cannot stop the mind, princess. Her eyes widened. Chains cannot stop the mind? Elias nodded. Never. Humans survive by thinking, by acting, by refusing to give up. We adapt, we endure, and we protect those we care about. Lyra looked at him, admiration and hope mixing in her glowing eyes. Then we will survive, and together? Together, he agreed. And when the time comes, we will show them what humans are capable of. That night, Elias lay on the floor, chains glowing faintly in the green moonlight. He felt the weight of captivity, yes, but also the spark of possibility. Humans survived chains, humans survived fear, humans survived impossible odds, and he was determined to prove it. Outside, the palace was alive with whispers of danger. The rival factions were approaching. The humans' ingenuity and courage were about to be tested in a world that had never seen their kind at full strength. And for the first time, Lyra fully realized that the human beside her, chained, watched, yet unbroken, was something her people had never understood, a force of courage, cleverness, and defiance that could not be controlled. Humans survived, and humans would act. The planet Calith was a world of chaos. Its skies burned with the fire of distant battles, and its cities lay in ruins broken by wars that had lasted for decades. Smoke rose from shattered towers, and the cries of the injured echoed across the plains. For most humans, Calith was nothing but a dangerous, abandoned planet. But for Ethan Carter, it was another mission. Another job to be done. Ethan was a human mercenary. He had worked in more alien territories than he could count, but Calith was different. The local factions were ruthless. Their technology far surpassed human weapons in many ways, and the rules of engagement were brutal. Yet Ethan was calm. He had survived worse. His job today was simple: deliver supplies to a neutral colony on the outskirts of the war zone. As his ship descended through the red-tinted atmosphere, Ethan's sensors picked up movement below. At first he thought it was a patrol. Then he saw the small figure crouched among the rubble. It was a child. The child's skin shimmered faintly under the sun, a pale green that marked her as part of one of Calith's elite families. Her eyes were large and golden, filled with fear. She clutched a small bundle tightly as if it were her only treasure. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He landed his ship a few meters away and exited cautiously, keeping his hands visible. "Hey," he called gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." The child flinched but did not run. Ethan crouched down, careful not to seem threatening. "It's okay. I can help." Suddenly a shadow fell across the rubble. Several alien soldiers appeared, their armor dark and menacing. They carried strange energy weapons that hummed ominously. They were not friendly. Ethan's mind raced. The child was in danger. Without thinking, he stepped in front of her, raising his arms. "Back off." The aliens hesitated. Humans were unpredictable, and this one seemed determined. Ethan quickly grabbed the child's hand. She was light, but her grip was surprisingly strong. He pulled her toward his ship. The soldiers fired, and energy blasts scorched the ground around them. Sparks flew as Ethan ran, dragging the child behind him. Inside the ship, he slammed the door shut and hit the launch controls. The engines roared, lifting the ship off the ground. Ethan leaned back, breathing hard, and glanced at the child. "Are you okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly, tears streaking her face. They want me," she whispered. Ethan frowned. He didn't know her, but he understood immediately. Whoever she was important. Too important to be left in the hands of soldiers who would harm her for their own gain. The ship rose higher into the atmosphere, dodging patrols and scanning the area for threats. Ethan's mind worked fast. He had a few options: land somewhere safe and hide, attempt to reach the neutral colony, or find a secure location and wait. The problem was time. Whoever she belonged to, or whoever wanted her, would not give up easily. "Do you have a name?" Ethan asked gently, trying to calm her. "Lyra," she said softly. "Lyra," he repeated. "All right, Lyra, we're going to get you somewhere safe." She looked at him with wide eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Ethan paused. It was a good question. He could have ignored her, flown past, and done his mission. But something inside him refused to let that happen. "Because no one deserves to be hunted like this," he said simply. Lyra studied him for a long moment and then nodded. She seemed to sense that Ethan was different from the others. Different from the soldiers who only wanted to use her. The ship's sensors picked up more movement below. Ethan frowned. "We're not out of this yet," he said. "They'll keep coming." Hours passed as he piloted through dangerous terrain. Every now and then he had to dive through storm clouds or navigate jagged mountain ridges. Lyra stayed close, clutching a small stuffed creature she had hidden in her bundle. Finally, Ethan found a place to land temporarily. It was a ruined observation tower, far from the main battle zones. He set the ship down quietly and looked at Lyra. "We're safe for now," he said. She looked around nervously. "For now," she repeated, echoing his words. As Ethan secured the ship, he noticed something unusual. On a nearby ridge, a figure was watching them. Tall, elegant, and regal. Her presence was commanding, even at a distance. The figure's skin was pale, her eyes sharp, and her expression unreadable. Ethan's pulse quickened. This was no ordinary alien. This was someone important, someone who could make life or death decisions for this child. The figure spoke, though Ethan could not hear the words. Instead, he felt the intent. She wanted the child. Not just anyone could approach her, only the most daring or foolish would try. Ethan felt a surge of determination. He would not hand Lyra over, not to anyone. He returned to the ship and gathered supplies. He knew the next step was risky. He had to leave this location before the figure could act. But he also knew that escaping would not be simple. Whoever this alien was, she had resources and influence. As night fell, Ethan sat with Lyra, keeping watch. The ruined tower offered some cover, but he knew it would not last long. He thought about the life he had lived, a life of missions, of survival, of fighting for pay. And now here he was, responsible for a child. "Do you want to tell me who you are?" he asked quietly. Lyra shook her head. "I can't," she whispered. "They'll find me." Ethan nodded, understanding more than she realized. Some truths were dangerous. Some truths could get you killed. Suddenly, a sound echoed across the valley below, a soft hum growing louder. Ethan's sensors lit up. Patrols. Not just any patrols, but advanced units faster and more precise than anything he had faced today. They were closing in. "Lyra," he said, taking her hand, "we have to move now." She nodded, her trust in him absolute. Together, they climbed aboard the ship. Ethan piloted them low through the jagged cliffs, dodging patrols that fired energy blasts in vain. Each maneuver was risky, but Ethan's skill kept them alive. Finally, after what felt like hours, they broke through the patrol lines. Below them, the ruins of Calith stretched endlessly, a reminder of the chaos that had brought them together. Lyra looked at Ethan with wide eyes. "You saved me," she said. Ethan smiled faintly. "No," he said. "We saved each other." But even as he spoke, a message pinged on his ship's comm system. It was not from any human ally. The language was alien, formal, and commanding. One line flashed repeatedly, "A human carries my child alive. You will be observed." Ethan's jaw tightened. He did not know the identity of the sender, but he understood the meaning clearly. Someone powerful knew what he had done, someone who would act soon. He glanced at Lyra. She was small, fragile, and yet full of courage. She had survived the first wave, but there would be more. Ethan clenched his fists. Whatever came next, he would protect her, no matter the cost. As the stars of Calith shimmered above, Ethan set a course for the neutral colony, unaware that the eyes of a queen were already upon him. And that queen had a plan.